For centuries, the Great Wall of China has stood as a symbol of one thing above all else: military might. We have all seen the pictures. That immense, serpentine structure of stone and packed earth, winding its way over the brutal, mountainous terrain of northern China. In our minds, we picture ancient soldiers standing guard in lonely watchtowers, scanning the horizon for invading armies. We are told it was a colossal barrier, a fortress wall designed to stop the fierce nomadic warriors of the steppes, the Mongols, in their tracks. This image is so powerful, so deeply ingrained in our history books and popular culture, that to question it feels almost strange. It seems like a simple, straightforward story, a defensive wall built for war. But what if that story, while compelling, is not the whole truth? What if the primary purpose of this ancient wonder was far more complex, more ingenious, and in many ways, more modern than we ever imagined? Recent research by historians, archaeologists, and scientists is beginning to peel back the layers of legend to reveal a much more fascinating reality. The wall was not just a simple barricade. Think about it logically for a moment. Could any wall, no matter how long or how high, truly stop a determined and mobile army across a frontier that stretches for thousands of miles? It seems almost impossible. The very scale of the wall hints at a different function, one that goes beyond mere physical defense. This is not just about revising history for the sake of it, it is about understanding the true genius of one of humanity's most ambitious projects. So, let us set aside what we think we know and embark on a journey to uncover the shocking truth behind the Great Wall of China. The real story is not just about keeping people out, it is about control, economy, and the very essence of how a civilization manages its power. To understand the wall's true purpose, we must first appreciate its staggering scale. We are not talking about a single, continuous wall built at one time. It is a network of walls and fortifications, constructed and rebuilt by different dynasties over nearly 2 millennia. The main line, from east to west, spans approximately 21,000 kilometers. That is a distance longer than the diameter of the entire Earth. Imagine trying to man a structure that long with enough soldiers to repel a concentrated attack at any point. It would be a logistical and strategic nightmare. An army of millions would be needed, and supplying them with food, water, and weapons across such vast, remote, and often treacherous landscapes would have been a crippling financial burden, even for a rich empire. This is the first major clue that the wall was not primarily a military barricade in the traditional sense. A commander could not possibly reinforce a threatened section quickly enough. A large, mobile force of nomadic cavalry could simply find a remote, undefended section, scale it, and bypass the wall entirely. So, if it was so vulnerable to being bypassed, why build it? The answer lies in thinking of the wall not as a solid shield, but as a sophisticated control system. It was less like a castle wall and more like a modern superhighway with toll booths and customs checkpoints. Its primary function was not to stop every single invader, but to regulate and monitor the one thing that was the lifeblood of the northern frontier: trade and movement. The wall forced all traffic through specific, controlled points. It channeled people, goods, and information into predictable pathways that the Chinese state could manage. This was its first and most brilliant line of defense, not against armies, but against the chaos of an uncontrolled border. Now we come to the heart of the matter: economics. The northern frontier of China was not just a war zone, it was a place of immense economic activity. This was the gateway to the legendary Silk Road, the network of trade routes that connected China to Central Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. For the Chinese empires, controlling this trade was a matter of supreme national importance. Silk, porcelain, tea, and other luxury goods flowed west, while gold, silver, horses, and glass flowed east. This trade generated enormous wealth and tax revenue for the state. The Great Wall was the ultimate tool for monopolizing and taxing this trade. By building the wall, the Chinese government could establish official trading posts and gates, like the famous Jiayu Pass and Shanghai Pass. Anyone wanting to trade legally had to go through these gates. Here, merchants could be taxed, their goods inspected, and their movements recorded. This provided a steady, reliable stream of income that funded the empire itself. More importantly, it allowed the Chinese to control the flow of strategic resources. For instance, they could restrict the sale of iron and weapons to the northern tribes while ensuring they had access to the strong horses from the steppes that their own cavalry needed. The wall made the border a regulated marketplace. It was an economic weapon, designed to make the nomadic tribes dependent on Chinese goods and compliant with Chinese rules. In this light, the wall was not a symbol of isolation, but rather a massive infrastructure project designed to manage and profit from globalization. Beyond economics, the Great Wall served another astonishing purpose. It was one of the most advanced communication networks in the ancient world. Look at those watchtowers again. We always imagine soldiers in them, ready to fight. But their most critical role was as signal stations. They formed a relay system that could transmit messages across the empire at a speed that was unimaginable for a man on horseback. Using a combination of smoke signals by day and beacon fires by night, along with flags and drums, a message could travel from the distant western frontier to the capital in Beijing in a matter of hours. This communication function was a massive force multiplier. It was not about stopping a small band of raiders, it was about intelligence and strategic deployment. If a large nomadic force was gathering in one region, the watchtowers in that area would send the signal. The Imperial Command, hundreds of kilometers away, would receive this intelligence almost instantly. They could then make a calculated decision, dispatch a mobile army to the exact point of trouble, or even use diplomatic channels to try and de-escalate the situation before it turned into a full-blown war. The wall acted as the empire's early warning system and nervous system. It allowed a centralized government to project its power and make informed decisions across a continent-sized territory. This transformed the wall from a passive barrier into an active, intelligent extension of the imperial will, proving its value was in information control as much as in physical defense. Perhaps the most subtle, yet most powerful, function of the Great Wall was psychological. It was a towering, inescapable symbol of the Chinese emperor's power and the permanence of his civilization. For the nomadic tribes to the north, the wall was a constant, daunting reminder of the organized, wealthy, and technologically advanced society to their south. It was a statement carved into the very landscape: we are here, we are vast, and we are permanent. We build in stone, while you roam the grasslands. This psychological impact cannot be overstated. It served to intimidate potential adversaries and define the very concept of the border between the civilized world and the barbarian lands. Internally, for the Chinese people and the emperor's court, the wall was an equally powerful political tool. It was a project of national unity and identity. The emperor who maintained and expanded the wall could present himself as the protector of the people, the defender of civilization against chaos. It justified taxation, conscription, and the centralization of power. The sheer immensity of the project demonstrated the emperor's ability to command vast resources and human labor, reinforcing his mandate to rule. In this sense, the wall was a propaganda masterpiece. It was as much for the people inside China as it was for the threats outside. It solidified the idea of a unified Chinese state, creating a tangible, physical boundary for an abstract concept, the Chinese Empire itself. So, what is the shocking truth we have uncovered? The Great Wall of China was not built for war alone. It was not a simple fortress that failed or succeeded in keeping invaders out. To label it as such is to dramatically oversimplify its genius. The truth is, the wall was a multifunctional megaproject, an ancient marvel of systems engineering. It was a regulated trade corridor that funded the empire. It was a customs and border control network that managed the flow of people and goods. It was a continental communication system that moved information faster than any horse. And it was a psychological and political symbol that defined a civilization for thousands of years. The Mongols did, of course, breach the wall at times. But more often, they negotiated at its gates, traded through its passes, and were ultimately integrated into the Chinese system. The wall's success was not measured by battles never fought, but by the centuries of stability, economic prosperity, and cultural continuity it helped to facilitate. It was a tool of management, not just a weapon of war. This new understanding does not diminish the Great Wall, it makes it infinitely more interesting. It transforms it from a static, defensive relic into a dynamic, intelligent system that offers profound lessons about control, economy, and power that are still relevant in our interconnected world today. The next time you see an image of the Great Wall, remember, you are not looking at a simple wall. You are looking at the ancient backbone of an empire.